Welcome everyone back to the Goonerverse. And we need to get used to that name, everyone. Or at least I'm trying to get everyone used to that name. We've got some news around Eddie Nketiah and a price tag. And do you know what? I'm not going to lie. Sometimes, as you see with my uploads on the channel, there's certain stuff I'm just happy to I don't know, make videos on, collate all the information, all the data, and let you know about. But I thought the £50 million Eddie Nketiah price tag was quite big news. It comes from Alex Crook of TalkSport, who has actually been really accurate with stuff in the last couple of years. I'll give you examples of that too as we talk about the deal in more detail. But there's been like other stuff around Johan Bakayoko, Serhal Garassi yesterday as well, which I covered on AFTV, and just loads of other kind of news, rumors, reports. Some of them from really apparently reliable people too. So I kind of wanted to just go live. We've actually done this the third Tuesday in a row. So thank you to everyone if you are tuning in on the lives. We'll talk about what's being said around Eddie Nketiah, what I make, just my general reaction to the price tag that is being thrown around of £50 million. You can already tell from my tone how I'm feeling about that. But also, just break everything down because it's been quite a weirdly busy Tuesday, which I didn't expect. Thought best to do it now because I'm sure you'll all be tuning into the Euros. Of course, if you're watching this later and not during the live, don't worry, we won't be talking too real time. We'll just give you all the news from today as well. Start with the Eddie Nketiah stuff, which I mentioned. Eddie Nketiah, who we know has been talked about by many, many journalists as a player who's likely to leave Arsenal this summer. Apparently, Arsenal want £50 million. Go back 3-4 weeks. No, it was about 3 weeks ago, actually. And Arsenal reportedly were looking for around £30 million. Or actually, let me rephrase that. It was Fulham who were one of the clubs that were in for him, and they were willing to, according to an exclusive, I can't remember who it was from, Fulham were willing to pay £30 million. Now, one of the clubs were Fulham, there was Wolves in there was Palace, Everton. And I'm not going to lie, at the time I thought 30 million. All right. Now Arsenal are asking for 50. It makes you wonder if that was a public price tag maybe 3 weeks ago. Did clubs know of that? And where they were looking for maybe 20 million, Arsenal said 50. Maybe it kind of comes out as Fulham saying they're willing to pay 30. Actually doesn't sound as crazy as it did 3 weeks ago. So that's kind of an interesting one to look back on a few weeks ago. But what we know from Alex Crook of TalkSport, he said it in a live catch-up with Jim White on TalkSport, covering from Berlin, obviously with everything going on at the Euros. He said, Eddie Nketiah, 50 million is what Arsenal want for him. Now, let's just start, before we react to the price tag, let's just start on just quickly, the report and the source and everything, because I always think, and I do like to say this because I think it's important. Journalists get a lot of heat and get a lot of pressure on them. Everyone wants them to constantly deliver information. And if they get it wrong, we will get really annoyed about it. It's very difficult to know what clubs are doing because they are actively trying to keep people from reporting on it, and they will know exactly who the journalists are. So sometimes journalists will get things wrong, but you kind of got to remember the ones that do actually come with things right and get things right in the first place. And that's why I do want to give credit to Alex Crook, because he was, from what I remember, the first one, or maybe not the first one, but he was really pushing the Aaron Ramsdale stuff in the summer of 2021. He was really kind of talking about that a lot and saying to people, look, Aaron Ramsdale, he's been relegated twice. I think it was with Bournemouth and Sheffield United, but Arsenal willing to pay quite a lot of money to get him. And a lot of us just didn't really believe it. We were like, what? We've been linked with Andre Onana. Why would we go for Ramsdale? What has he proven? It was on no one's radar. We just kind of didn't really believe it. And lo and behold, it came true. We actually paid up to £24 million for him. And for 2 years, we all kind of fell in love with Aaron Ramsdale and kind of what he did brilliantly at Arsenal. And he more than justified that price tag. Now, if we're talking about selling him, we're saying we want around 50 million. So you've got to remember how we used to think of certain price tags about certain players and who was reporting on those certain players when we're bringing or getting new information, a good, 3 years, 2 years on from those situations. So Alex Crook got the Aaron Ramsdale thing right. He got the Leandro Trossard thing right. Thank you to Apple for this really pointless feature. I love Apple, by the way. Anyway, so the Rams, I think he got right. He was also one of the first with Leandro Trossard. He was also one of the first to come in and he was one of the first to come in and say Arsenal are interested in Leandro Trossard. But if I'm remembering it right, he didn't really go all out to say Arsenal made a bid. Arsenal are he just said Arsenal are monitoring Trossard's situation, I think, and that they looked. So I talked about it on a video recently, and then it was 9 days after that Fabrizio Romano came in and said yeah, Arsenal are making a move. They're trying to sign Trossard. And I don't know. I just think it's important to remember kind of what sort of people have got right. And I think there was something else recently. So he's also, I think, been talking the most about Osimhen. Was he? I can't remember. So he's the one who has said that Arsenal want 50 million for Eddie Nketiah. Now, on the price tag alone, by the way, I see all the comments coming in and I will be reacting and chatting to you all. So thank you so much for to everyone for joining. So with the 50 million pounds supposedly being demanded for Eddie Nketiah, I'm torn. I tell you why I'm torn, right? Because for me, if you want 30 million pounds for a player, then you're probably asking for 40, 45 million. 50 feels a stretch too much. That's probably what you're publicly asking for. But is there such thing as a price that like alienates the buyer? Is there such thing as, Palace, Everton, whoever knocking on our door going, hey, we want Eddie Nketiah, how much? Or we go 50 million, they go, we're not even going to have the conversation. This is completely pointless. I don't know. I've never bought or sold a footballer. I've got no idea how it works. I've not been inside clubs to see how the transfer window works, but my general impression is, yeah, there is such thing as pricing out buyers. But at the same time, it's also nice to see Arsenal, I don't know, hold firm and go, our players, they're not just all on sale. Everyone come get who you want. We'll do you a good deal. These are players that play significant parts for us. I mean, look, let's be really honest at how it is. People are very torn on Eddie Nketiah, and I think I'm being kind. Most people, it's fair to say, are happy to say that the team's moved beyond Eddie Nketiah and what he can offer in this team. But this is a player that Mikel Arteta started in the North London derby, in the game against Man City at home. But the North London derby at home and the City game at home last season, Eddie Nketiah started both of them. And he played a lot of the first half of the season. And actually, when you look at the fact that Kai Havertz was available on the bench for some of those games, it makes you think, well, okay, so it wasn't that long ago that Eddie was seen as the preferred option as a 9 to Kai Havertz that now, I don't know, reports are saying Arsenal see as semi-undroppable. It's football can change quickly. And it's really important to remember how Arteta viewed Eddie Nketiah before. So is this a case of Arsenal and Arteta saying, well, we don't want to lose him. We'd rather keep him. But if he is going to go, then 50 million, because that's what it's going to take a player that, was starting in big games for us last season. Now, I know we have to remember that we as fans are seeing it differently. We as fans are seeing it more as, yeah, we'll take 30 million because we've been terrible at sales and that would be good business for a player that we don't want or need in the squad. But Arteta and Arsenal might be seeing it slightly differently. So I think that's where the 50 millions ultimately come from. It's a good negotiation point. It's a good starting point. It's 50 million. And they go, well, we were thinking 25 to 30. And then maybe you meet in the middle of 35, 40. I don't know. I think that's what's coming there. I'll take some questions, some thoughts before we talk about other things. But that's kind of the news. That's the general kind of reminder of what's sort of been going on, what's been said. 50 million, apparently. Now, I just want to go through some comments because David sent in this. Thank you, Dave, for your comment. They want more for Nketiah than they sold Balogun for. Yeah, but doesn't that make sense? Like, when you really think about it, Balogun, his start, and I don't want to be too harsh on Balogun. He did score a load of goals in France before we sold him. But Balogun's stock was really actually where it was because he hadn't played that much for Arsenal. Because of this mystery of, well, how good is following Balogun, scored all these goals in the academy, went and banged goals in France. Surely he's the answer. Surely he's the guy. Eddie Nketiah actually at least has a body of work in the Premier League. Not bags and bags of goals, no, but scored a decent handful of goals in the amount of football we played for Arsenal across various competitions. Can play left and right, but you probably wouldn't play him. You'd probably play him up front. But he's shown he can score goals in the Premier League and lead the line for a Premier League club. I mean, not to the level that we want him to, but he can in the Premier League. So, yeah, I don't think it's that surprising that they would want more Freddie Nketiah than following Balogun at all. Especially because we're in a stronger position this summer than we were last summer in terms of the sales, I imagine. I'm not sure. Potez says 50 million for Nketiah, but settle for 25. That's kind of my position, right? It's ask for 50, but I'd take 25. I mean, if Arsenal do anything between 20 and 30 million for Nketiah, I'd be happy because we can't pretend that the price of the player isn't dictated by the fact that most of us aren't even that desperate to keep him. that is going to impact the buyers. They're going to go, well, hold on, you need funds. And well, I don't know if that's true, by the way, but that's what they might say. They might say, oh, you need funds, and you're not desperate to keep him. He barely started in the second half of the season when you're in your best form. That's important to remember too. What have we got? Ajaha says Nketiah is not worth, good name. Nketiah is not worth 50 million. I feel he's more 30 to 32. Probably agree with that. Thank you so much, by the way. Ernest, I appreciate the comment. Thank you so much. And Judton as well. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, 50. That's what they're saying. They're saying 50 million. I mean, yeah. Sammy, negotiation tactics, ask for 50, get 30 million, which is amazing value. Exactly. I think that's the bigger point, isn't it? That it's about having a good starting point. I mean, if Arsenal said they wanted 30, they're not getting 30. But then I also said that when we were hoping to get 20, and I said, we'll ask for 30. So, yeah. Percy says, love the new logo, James. Great job. Thank you so much. I've got to shout out Max, who did amazing work. We worked on that together. And he's just done some phenomenal work for the whole channel. So, yeah, send your love for Max. He's absolutely brilliant, and he's been transformative for this channel. Some people say, what is Edu on? Listen, I don't blame him. Star Wars 0405, I'd be gobsmacked if we get 30 for him. I mean, that's more where I am. If we get 30, I'd be happy. But yeah, Arsenal are being quite firm here, and I kind of rate it. And just a reminder to anyone who's only jumping in now, this is my third live show on this channel. And the live shows are basically meant to bring you sort of fact and news. Whenever there's kind of big information, people are reliable. We will sort of go live and talk about that in as real time as possible. And when I saw this news, I thought I'd leave it a couple hours, see if anything else comes out, because you never know. Sometimes a wave of information comes, but it's only really Alex Crook saying it. But it kind of makes sense. Like I said, with that exclusive that came out 3 weeks ago, I can't remember whose exclusive was, but that Fulham were willing to pay, I think, 30 million for Eddie Nketiah. He thought, that's crazy. Well, I don't think we're even asking for that. But now you're hearing that apparently we are asking 50, and the whole, no, we won't pay 50, we're willing to go to 30, suddenly makes sense, 3 weeks on. So let's see. Aya says, some of you fans confuse me, complain about us underselling players, and then also complain when we apply good negotiating tactics by putting high price tag on Nketiah. I agree. It's a good negotiation tactic, and it's probably the right approach from Arsenal. So, I'm fine with it. I don't think we're going to get that amount, but I'm allowed to think that, and also sort of think that the approach is probably right. What else have we got? Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Paul Nell, I've seen your comment. Thank you. I really, really appreciate the support. Thank you to everyone, by the way, who's been tuning in. Yesterday was actually the 2-year anniversary of me having this channel, and it's gone from being a channel where I talk about anything I'm interested in to just talking about football to now just talking about Arsenal. And I really just want it to be a platform where I can just bring you some of the news, information, facts around what's going on in the world of Arsenal, and try and make sense of it all with as much research and evidence in everything I talk about as possible. So as much as possible. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's what a lot of people were thinking at first. 50 million with a big old lull in there. I'm not sure about this, Superman, watching my content. Thank you. I see nothing wrong with our valuation, 50 million or nothing. I can't go that far. I can't say, 50 million or nothing, like that's what the player's worth. He's just not. If Nico Williams is a 43 million pound release clause, if Amadou Onana is wanted by Bayern Munich, Arsenal, other clubs, and talking around 50 million, I just don't think Eddie Nketiah is a 50 million pound player. And you've got to look at this market now. You can talk about previous players. Has Eddie Nketiah done more in the Premier League than Anthony? Absolutely, and he was worth 80, but the market isn't where it was 2 years ago. Now, this is a good question from Switchblade. This question, is this Arsenal's plan to keep Nketiah? Well, here's the thing. And for anyone who sort of doesn't know what Switchblade sort of means, and that, I'm not trying to sound condescending when I say that, but I think what Switchblade is hinting at, and Switchblade, let me know if I'm wrong, is do you price him out? Do you basically go, well, it's this or nothing, and we keep him because we want to keep him? If he'd played about as much of the second half of the season as he did the first half of the season, or even just somewhat near that, then I'd say, yeah, maybe. Like maybe Arsenal just don't want to sell him, and they're saying, look, if you want to sign one of our important squad players, it's going to cost you money. But Arsenal used him so unbelievably little in the second half of the season. You got Kai Havertz and Jesus as 2 9s. We reportedly want to add another 9/forward. Trossard started false 9 in the game against West Ham when we went away from home there 6-0. Like, Nketiah, I really think is like 5th in the pecking order. Honestly, I think he's behind Jesus, Havertz, Trossard, okay, and maybe another forward, and then Nketiah. So maybe, I don't know. He's 4th or 5th. That's, yeah, that makes me think like, no, we genuinely do want to sell it. Like, we genuinely do want to, start making money on these players. Like Reece Nelson, David Ornstein's report that Reece Nelson has informed Arsenal he wants to leave. That's, yeah, I don't know. It could be just a plan to keep him, but I don't think it is that. What else have we got? By the way, there's a Hoover going off in the background. So if you hear that, let me know in the comments and I'll. Oh, you can't hear it anymore. There we go. James, calm down. He ain't good enough. Sell. No, listen, that's where I am, David. That's absolutely where I am. I don't think he's good enough where we want to be, and I'd sell him personally. English tax, 50 million is reasonable. We have seen this with a few English players. What else have we got? Aya says, the issue is with some of us Arsenal. Do you hear that? An alarm went off. It's not gone off anymore. I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to do a live stream, people. Aya says, the issue with some of us Arsenal fans is that we overanalyze things. Let them cook and we'll see what happens. I think we've gotten used to whining. Yeah, thank you for your super chat, by the way. We overanalyze things because we still need to remember that for a long time, Arsenal have got things wrong at this particular part of the season. Like this particular part of the summer, buying and selling, we've undersold or we've paid too much or we've not addressed certain areas. So we're right to overanalyze and think and actually be concerned at times. But I think Arteta and Edu have built up such a, what's the word, portfolio of like good work done to get the squad where it is that generally I trust them. And yeah, I'm not stressed. I'll overanalyze, but I'm not stressed about it. Here we go. Now, this is interesting. Anthony says, James, don't you have the feeling that Edu didn't do his homework during the season and now is scrambling for who to get? Right. There is no question that Arteta, Edu, everyone involved, Tim Lewis, is it Tim Lewis? Richard Garlick, everyone involved in the transfer side of things would have absolutely done their homework and known 6-7 months ago who their ideal targets were going into this summer. And that would have constantly evolved, constantly changed. They'd have added things to the list. Hoover's going off again. Let me know if that's a problem. Now, I could just be mentioning all these background noises that none of you hear, but yeah, I'm just letting you know. If it is, you let me know. So I'm so I said in a video about what to expect for Arsenal summer transfer window. It was a video I did about 3-4 weeks ago, I think, as we went into June. And I said, I think Arsenal don't really have a set plan on what they want to do, but have an idea of the roles they want to fill and are going to see what the market says and let the market dictate everything. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of people came back saying, James, nonsense. Like, they've always had a plan. They'll have a plan. They'll always have a plan. But you think they're just going to fluke it? And it's like, yeah, actually, I kind of do. I think they were sort of prepared to kind of fluke it a little bit and just sort of see like who becomes available, what happens. I think they'll have players that they're always going to go for. And the market always moves and players become available you don't realize. And things change. And maybe they don't want to bring in a 50 million pound midfielder like Onana now because they don't know that a 60 million pound Frankie de Jong, who's a much better player, is available a month later. Like, I do think they absolutely did their homework, absolutely know what they wanted to do in terms of players and roles in general, but they were flexible. Do they want another wide forward, in which case Jesus and Havertz are your strikers next season? Or did they want an out-and-out number 9 and Jesus will play out wide? Like, I think the market will dictate that. Now, there are reports and rumors coming out that Osimhen and his price has dropped. That's interesting. If Osimhen's price has dropped from around 107 million pounds, I think his release clause was, to about 84 million is what's being reported, then that you can't say that doesn't change things for Arsenal. It's 23 million or whatever is a big difference. So yeah, I think they were prepared. I just think they don't have a set. We are going in this direction. So let's see. let's see. What else? I think that's probably it for the comments. Let's just talk about other stuff. Oh, there you go. People asked about Osman news. Well, I touched on that very briefly. Yeah, Lasker makes a good point. You don't want to scare people off. 50 million is incredibly high. I do agree with that too. I think. Thank you. Appreciate that. And for anyone asking, no problem, David. Appreciate you commenting. And everyone who's commenting, man. I'm sorry I can't take every comment, but I do appreciate it a lot. Wazza says, James, where's the source? Go on Talksport YouTube channel and you'll hear Alex Crook discuss it there. That's why I've done a live show. Otherwise, I've just saved it for tomorrow's upload. But, you know, Alex Crook's been good with Arsenal stuff. Talksport, of course, big publication. Yeah, it was. And I think it was mentioned somewhere else by another source as well. So I felt that was sort of big news that was worth talking about, because I think sales will get going once this PSR issue is dealt with for certain clubs at the end of June, which is on Sunday. Okay. I think there are a lot of comments. Apologies, I can't get them all in, but thank you so much. But we do have a super chat here actually from Dan. We sold Joe Willock to Newcastle approximately 25 million. Remember the type of player he was to us when we sold him? Eddie is guaranteed goals. Well, now this is what's interesting, Dan. You make a great point here. Thank you for your super chat. Willock and Balogun are probably reference points for academy players we sold recently. Now, if Willock's 25 million when clubs were dealing with the pandemic and everything, Balogun was 35, 37 million, and he hadn't really kicked a ball for the first team properly. Certainly nothing at Premier League level, bar a couple of appearances here and there. You know, then Eddie is a 50 million pound player. Like, let's call it how it is. Like, I think Joe Willock is a better player than Eddie Nketiah personally. Different positions. And I think Balogun, we don't know, because they've had such different environments to thrive in that we don't know. But of course, Eddie has a much better body of work, certainly for Arsenal. Like, the reference points would tell you, well, if this guy's Premier League proven and led the line for teams that have been going for top 4 and Premier League titles, and okay, he's not always started, but he's been in and out and he's played his part, then that would tell you that 50 million pounds is the prize point. But Arsenal just won't get there, in my opinion. So let's see. Thank you for all the nice comments. Okay, I think that's most of the comments. Of course, I will check. By the way, I agree with this. If we want our centre back, go all out for Calafiori. Very good on the ball, and I think he would fit us like a glove. He is unbelievable. I think he's going to go to Juventus, according to my Italian cousin. Not that he's an ITK, but he's just telling me what's being said in Italy. Calafiori is top. Like, honestly, class act, and I'll definitely sign him. Now, I want to just fill you in. Like I said, these live news shows are about reacting to actual news. But as it's been doing the rounds, I think it's big up Joe, by the way. What a legend, man. Joe also done a lot of work for this channel. So show your love to Joe. Thank you, Joe. Hope we catch up soon. It's his birthday the other day. Send your birthday wishes to Joe. So, like I said, these live news shows are absolutely dedicated to news. Like, news and things actually being reported by who I believe to be the reliable journalists who have got things right about Arsenal, and I'll, save these live streams for those moments. But I think it would be wrong of me not to touch in on what's been said around other players, simply because it's been doing the rounds today, and I'll tell you about it now. We don't have to set, we can save it for, we don't have to save it for tomorrow, is basically what I'm saying. Bless you all, sending a happy birthday message to Joe. You lot are class acts. So let's just go through it all. Here we are. Now, I always said, you want to be kept up to date what's happening in the world. Transfers, follow news aggregators. Doc is one of them. But ZRAFC, absolutely top tier when it comes to aggregating Arsenal news. So, he shared this news with us from LADH. There you go. That Arsenal could beat the competition from major rivals to sign PSV winger Johan Bakayoko. The Gunners are now the #1 track for the Belgian, for the young Belgian. There's currently no question of agreement, but the file is moving in the right direction. Miranda's a fine tactician, capable of bringing out the best in his players. Arteta's the qualities to take him to the next level. Sorry, I'm hiccuping, everyone. Bakayoko can offer Saka competition on the right wing, where he's without a player capable of competing for his place. The two men have similar profiles. So, This is an interesting one. I'll tell you why. Because there's been loads since. This from GVA, Gazette van Antwerpen, saying, according to Tuesday's edition of Gazette van Antwerpen, the Gunners are the most concrete track for Johan Bakayoko. They haven't agreed a deal yet, either with Bakayoko and PSV, but this case could evolve positively. The Red Devils and Belgian Football Association prefer that transfers are only arranged after European championships. PSV asking price will also not be small and will certainly amount to 45 million. There's a little bit here about Ed Aaron saying that Palace are braced for Arsenal, City, Tottenham 10th the race for Eze. Let's see what happens there. Quick update on Chelsea not going for Nico Williams. But then there was this. Arsenal have inquired about PSV striker Johan Bakayoko, right winger, I'd say, forward. But according to those involved, there is certainly no offer yet to take action. And given the presence of Bukayo Saka, the question is whether it is the perfect next step for him. Now, Rick Elfrink apparently is tier one. A lot of people have said this, that he is top when it comes to PSV news. So I wanted to share that all with you because if he is top, then this is quite big, right? That Arsenal have essentially made a move to find out if a move for Johan Bakayoko is possible. And it's just my general reaction to it all, firstly. I think we need another left-footed forward or can use his left foot. So I love Nico Williams because he can play right and left and he's both-footed. Johan Bakayoko, Pedro Neto, everyone's always saying, or Mohamed Kudus, the video I did the other day, everyone is saying that you don't want to sign a player because, or you don't want to sign a player that's better than Bukayo Saka because A, how are you going to do that? He's top. But then also you don't want to sign someone who's just going to be on the bench because otherwise you're not getting quality. They're not going to want to make that move. It's really simple. You get someone who can play across the front three. The reason I like Kudus is he can play right, left. He can play false nine. He can lead the line. He can play in midfield. Like Kudus can do all those roles and he's brilliant and he's proven in the Premier League. Johan Bakayoko, Pedro Neto can play on the left as much as they can play on the right. They probably have played most of their football on the right, but whenever I've looked at them on the left, they look very comfortable there too. So I think these are really good profiles for Arsenal to look at. Now, you can get wingers that are like literally one side heavy. Trossard, he just does not look the same player on the right as he does on the left. Martinelli did okay against Everton on the right, but you can just see so much more comfortable on the left. Bukayo Saka is as comfortable on the left as he is on the right to me. I genuinely think he is. So I think we need to sign another player that is comfortable playing in other roles in the team when Bukayo Saka is on fire and simply undroppable because we want to add real quality. I want to sign a player that could, in top form, keep Saka out of the team, keep Havertz or Jesus out of the team, keep Martin out of the team, which is why Mohamed Kudus is one of my preferred targets. It's why if a miracle happened and we did go for Marcus Rashford, Arsenal fans obviously be talking about whether that would be something they would do. I would be up for it because I can see these players at their best actually keeping what we have out the team. Bakayoko is young. I don't know if at his best he keeps any of our players out the team. But he does look really exciting. I thought he looked really good against us when we played them in the Champions League. So yeah, big fan of Bakayoko. Let's go through some of your comments really quickly to round it off. Fortis Gunnar says, Bakayoko on the right, Nico on the left, mad addition, but I'm going to wake up soon. Yes, imagine. Football Fanatic, 15 for Eddie. Who the hell is paying that, James? It's just the asking price. Don't shoot the messenger. What's not a lot of comments on Bakayoko. Interesting. AJ says, Bakayoko is good. Had a better season than Kudus did in the Eredivisie the year before he joined West Ham. Similar kind of player. I'd say Kudus is better right now, but Bakayoko got that same talent. That's great insight. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate that a lot. Bakayoko is a good backup, says Neil. And Lasker says, I'd love Bakayoko. Let's just make sure I've got all the super chats in. Yes, believe I did. All right, everyone. We are going to we're going to leave the stream there. I hope you've enjoyed it. This was just a quick news update to just keep you up to date with everything going on. More around Eze that's just kind of floating around, but still a lot of rumors. And I really like the players we're linked to at the moment. That's what I say. Mikel Merino the other day. That was yesterday, I think. Johan Bakayoko, Nico Williams. Yes. I'm not looking at links to players like I've done in previous summers and going, what? Why? Please say this is not true. I'm convinced by a lot of these players. Hope you are too. Everyone, just want to say a big thanks for joining. Like I said, look out for these live shows. Whenever there's big breaking news, I will be doing a live show to react to it all with all of you on this channel. Otherwise, expect uploads Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where we'll just talk about all the latest reports, all the latest news, doing some analysis on players, and just discussing everything in the wider world of Arsenal. And the Goonerverse podcast will be back next week. And there's a few special. We've got some guests lined up. Just a little clue. It's a little clue. Sharoy will be my co-host as always, and there will be 2 guests for next week. Look out for that next Tuesday. Big thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all the support, all the comments, and everything. See you very soon.